Hello everyone, girls and boys of all ages from Vertical, the channel that accompanies you on your path to personal growth. With today's video, we delve into the mysterious and fascinating history of the Rosicrucians. The Rosicrucians represent one of the most mysterious and fascinating esoteric brotherhoods in Western history. Officially founded in the 17th century but with much older mythical roots, this order has always attracted scholars, philosophers, and alchemists thanks to its spiritual beliefs, its goals of inner growth, and its secretive practices, often the subject of numerous myths. Their influences are evident in the mystical, esoteric, and even scientific currents of the time, and continue to resonate in various modern philosophies of personal growth. If you like the video, please like and subscribe to the channel by hovering your mouse over our logo at the bottom right. The origins of the Rosicrucians date back to texts that appeared in 1614 and 1615 in Germany, known as the Fama Fraternitatis, the Confessio Fraternitatis, and the Chemical Wedding of Christian Rosenkreuz. These manifestos attribute the foundation of the order to a mysterious figure, Christian Rosenkreuz, Christian Rosicrucian, who is said to have lived in the 14th century. Rosicrucians, after his travels in the Middle East, is said to have brought back to Europe mystical and alchemical knowledge to found a brotherhood dedicated to enlightening humanity and guarding secrets that promote spiritual regeneration and wisdom. Their theories captured the imagination of thinkers of the time, reflecting an era in which religion, science, and philosophy were sought to reconcile. In the historical context of the Renaissance and the early Enlightenment, the manifestos appeared as a response to the spiritual crisis of the age, affirming that truth and authentic knowledge were accessible to those who embarked on a path of inner growth. Although the historical existence of Christian Rosenkreuz is questionable, many notable thinkers were associated with or sympathized with the Rosicrucian order. These included Francis Bacon, an English philosopher and scientist, considered by some to be the father of the scientific method, Robert Fludd, an English physician, alchemist, and philosopher, who defended Rosicrucian principles through numerous writings exploring the order's symbolism and alchemical practices, Michael Meyer, a German alchemist at the court of Emperor Rudolf II, who incorporated Rosicrucians into his esoteric symbols. Other figures, such as Isaac Newton, have been linked to the order, but the evidence is less certain and often based on speculation. The Rosicrucians professed a syncretic vision of spirituality, in which Christianity, alchemy, astrology, and mysticism converged in a single esoteric system. At the heart of their doctrine was the belief that the human being possessed a latent divine potential, which could be awakened through spiritual practices and inner enlightenment. The symbol of the Rosicrucians, a red rose in the center of a cross, represents the union between the earthly and the divine, between the body and the soul. The rose symbolizes spiritual purity and universal love, while the cross is associated with suffering and transformation, recalling the Christian symbolism of sacrifice. The Rosicrucians saw in their iconography a means to transmit spiritual secrets to their followers and to elevate their souls through meditation on the symbol. Central to their beliefs was the idea of spiritual transmutation, symbolized by the philosopher's stone, both a spiritual symbol and a material goal. This mythical stone, capable of transforming lead into gold, represented the transmutation of the soul from its profane state to a divine and pure state. One of the fundamental concepts in the Rosicrucian doctrine is the death of the ego, which is necessary for spiritual rebirth. According to the Rosicrucians, the individual had to let go of attachment to his or her superficial self, desires, and earthly attachments in order to reach a higher level of awareness. This process occurred through rituals and contemplative practices aimed at purifying the mind and allowing a greater openness to the divine. The doctrine of the Rosicrucians is based on a syncretism between Christian philosophy, alchemy, astrology, and mysticism. The Rosicrucians believed that the human being could awaken his divine nature through a transmutation of the soul, a process comparable to the search for the philosopher's stone, so dear to the alchemists. The Rosicrucians believed in the necessity of a process of inner death and rebirth. This meant abandoning ties to the material world and egoistic identifications in order to awaken the true divine essence within the soul. This process of rebirth was considered essential to achieving a state of enlightenment and harmony with the divine. According to the order, the paths of death and rebirth are essential to awaken the divine within. Through a process of abandoning the ego and material identifications, the individual can approach a state of higher awareness. The Rosicrucians believed that only those who were prepared to follow a rigid inner discipline could access this secret knowledge. The Rosicrucians adopted a set of practices that combine mysticism and science, such as meditation, symbolic contemplation, and the study of alchemy. Unlike other esoteric brotherhoods, the Rosicrucians claimed not to be an initiatory order reserved for the few, but to promote universal enlightenment, yet the secrecy with which they operated and the complexity of their symbols made their practices accessible only to those truly dedicated to spiritual research. One of the most mysterious aspects of the Rosicrucian order are the tales of secret practices and dark rituals. Although many of these are probably exaggerations or later inventions, some argue that the order practiced a kind of ritual sexuality, seen as a form of internal alchemy. This practice would have been aimed at channeling life energy to promote spiritual enlightenment. Other tales tell of secret meetings in which purification rites were celebrated or spiritual entities were invoked to receive visions and superior knowledge. While many of the details of Rosicrucian practices are shrouded in mystery, it is known that meditation was a fundamental practice used to focus the mind and facilitate connection with the divine. It is certain that many Rosicrucians were passionate about alchemy and astrology, believing that these disciplines could reveal hidden knowledge to individuals, just as the practices of purification and consecration rituals are certain, very important in the experience of the brotherhoods. Rosicrucian philosophy has profoundly influenced not only esoteric spirituality, but also many modern schools of thought on personal growth. Their emphasis on inner transformation and the search for a higher self resonates with today's personal growth practices, such as mindfulness, transpersonal psychology, and self-realization. The Rosicrucian philosophy of letting go of the ego to access higher consciousness is reflected in contemporary concepts such as letting go and the search for authenticity. In psychology, this is often compared to Jungian individuation, a process of integrating every aspect of the unconscious to arrive at a state of inner unity. Their idea of inner transformation is comparable to the modern concept of self-realization, the realization of human potential, and is reflected in disciplines such as mindfulness, Jungian individuation work, and modern psychology. The practice of letting go, often used in personal growth to overcome attachment to thoughts and emotions, has an analogy in the Rosicrucian path of abandoning the ego. As well as many of the modern philosophies of personal growth, such as shadow work or the integration of the dark parts of the psyche, reflect the principles of spiritual purification and inner rebirth promoted by the Rosicrucians. The Rosicrucians are therefore a symbol of wisdom, mystery, and inner research that transcends the centuries. Since the 17th century, their doctrine has profoundly influenced not only esoteric spirituality but also scientific and philosophical thought. Their philosophy of inner growth, based on self-purification and soul alchemy, continues to inspire those seeking a more meaningful and spiritually fulfilling life. In an age like ours, when personal growth and spiritual awareness are more popular than ever, the philosophy of the Rosicrucians, who emerged in the 17th century as a mystical and esoteric group, represents one of the most influential secret brotherhoods in the history of Western spirituality. If you feel that today you have discovered something new and you like the discovery, leave a like to this video. Every thought or insight you have in mind, write it immediately in the comment box. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to get notified of each of our further publications. Also share it with your friends. May happiness always be your faithful companion.